One of the biggest problems with HPA is finding a way to keep your line that's tethered to you fixed to your gear, because sometimes when you exit the field or you have to maintain something or you have to make sure that it's out of the line before you go back to the staging area, you can't have this plugged in or any power to your replicas because it could be dangerous. And, well, you could jam it in your pocket, you could throw it over your shoulder, but really you got this umbilical cord tangled to you until you go back to the field, and it's just a mess and it's all over the place. Which is why I'm excited to showcase for you guys a small little upgrade that was sent to me by Airsoft Industries. And I'd be lying to you if I told you that when I got this package, I didn't really know how they worked. A, because a lot of the time I'm sniping, so I don't run an HPA line, and I'm not familiar with it. And if I go indoors, most of the time I'm just running a pump shotty or a pistol. So he sent me two. I guess you have two different style mounts. And like I said, I had no idea how these mounted up to your like HPA line originally, because it said HPA hose clips, right? Clips. So in my eyes, I was like, oh, you got to clip the hose in somewhere. And I don't know. I'm embarrassed because obviously it's super simple, and I'm sure most of you already understand how these work. Also, from my understanding, some of these things have already really been on the market in the past. I don't know if this exact style or different styles or whatnot, but these are a way to mount them to either your belt or your chest rig or your plate carrier or so on. Two different styles he makes. This one looks like it's designed to mount to almost like a belt holster style mount. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have anything that's going to be able to mount this up to right now, just because I'm not exactly sure how that mounts up. But we can try the clip in a second. And then this one is designed to go onto any of your regular molly. So we're going to throw this on my chest rig. Now we just got to figure out how this opens up. Okay, so it looks like there's a small little driver hole. Let me grab a driver. And that, does that fit? First try. I don't know how long this screw is. These are all 3D printed parts, which is really cool. It feels like there's some sort of nylon, just based off the texture. It's almost like a little bit softer. And it's got this tiny little screw. Don't want to lose that. I'm going to mount this and keep it on my gear because it is super low profile. And we should just be able to weave this through my chest rig. Now this is the chest rig I run all the time. I don't run a plate carrier because it's too bulky. And this thing, especially, like I'm running, like, for example, the other day I was running my AAPO1 DMR build that I made a series on. And you just run it. It holds like 10 G-mags, which is huge. So I don't need a plate carrier. I throw my nades and any extra tools and what have you in here. And thinking this is going to be the right side. So if I was running an HPA line, the line would be running from my right under the replica. So I'd want to run this to the right side and maybe like there or there. I don't know. I don't know if I want to put it, I think I'm going to put it in here just because if I put it further out, it's more likely to get in the way of my arm. And I don't want my arm just like constantly hitting it. So we're just going to pop this off. And we'll kind of try and feed this up inside the molly. It's a little bit stiff, obviously, being that it's like that fiber reinforced nylon, I think, is the material he used. I should just be able to pry this up, though. As soon as I get it started, it should be easy to get it through. Bingo. Okay. And it clips closed. Now let's just get that screw back through. Okay, I didn't get that into the mount. We have to like almost force this closed a little bit. That is not the easiest thing to do. Kind of got to bend the plastic a tad. Now we're going in though. Just make sure it goes in all the way to the other side before I release it. That's in there. Might want to throw some like Loctite on there, Loctite blue. But that's in there. That is rock solid. It is not going anywhere. And let's show you how it all kind of clamps up to the hose. So we've got both of our mounts. We'll test these out, obviously. This one is the one I'm going to keep tethered to my gear. You take your hose out of your replica, and now it's hanging out all over the place goofy. You want to jam it in your pocket. You want to jam it over your shoulder. You're trying to jam it inside your chest rig, up inside the armpit, whatever. We don't need to do that anymore. We should just be able to pry it back, and like we would index the HPA line onto any of our replicas, just pop it right up and over there, and it's going nowhere. It's a little wobbly, but like, again, no problem. It's just there as storage, but that is not coming off, and that should be solid, rock solid, because there's actually a screw mounted on the bottom of there. And it's one of those T5 bits, which is even cooler. And it just sits on there solid. And then again, with this one, if you wanted to mount it up all fancy to your belt, I actually like the way this one looks better because it's so much more sleek. Like, it's like a nice sleek design. But this is great. It's low profile. It's out of the way. You can see I got a ton of stuff mounted on this little chest rig here. This is the novice chest rig, but I got all my patches and stuff. This one's a custom one my buddy printed for me. This is the original stupid patch. I got my little camera mount. This is, I don't know why I have that. I just thought it was cool. But now that mounts up perfectly. So if I'm ever running HPA for any reason, you can now store it when you get into the staging area with no problems. That is so convenient. And then it's not just gonna like release air pressure. Let's turn our line on. You can see there's 120 PSI running through here now. And even with the air pressure on, obviously the air is not gonna come out. So it's just fine. There's no like initial puff, like when you run the a regular HPA or a hose connector to your replicas or your mags. This is simply just a way to mount your line, which is awesome. So just another small little upgrade for my chest rig that I will be keeping on here indefinitely. That is awesome. Let me turn that back off. So again, I'm going to leave a link to these in the description if for some reason you want to check these out. You want to pick up these for yourself. These are from Airsoft Industries. He makes a lot of funky and cool parts. I've checked out a couple things from his channel. This is just one of the few things that he sent to me recently. And these are, I just love these simple little things that make your everyday gameplay or your gear or your everyday problems so much easier. And I think this is just one of them. So again, if you have any ideas on how to mount this, this looks like it would be for some sort of a holster, but I'm not sure. So let me know. However, obviously I know how to mount this one, but if anyone has any insight on this guy, that would be awesome. For now, thanks for checking it out. I'm sorry this is like such a quick video. There's not a whole lot to check out, and I haven't made too much content recently because I've been a little under the weather, so this is the first one to warm me back up into the swing of things. For now, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.